Hmm. Yo, Tony. How you doing, man? Let's try this. That'll work. Yo, Slade. Thanks for stopping by, man. I appreciate the follow. Burnabas. Subscribing for 10 months. Jesus Christ, that's almost a year. Hey, Yam too. Everybody's showing up. Nice. I figure we'll give it a few more minutes. You know, let some people come through. Thanks, DQ. I was unhappy with how we did in the finals, but I mean, that's to be expected when you lose, right? But like, 15th seed at Go Team Up all the way up to winning second. Apparently there's a physical trophy somewhere down the line, but maybe Burno knows what's going on with that, because I don't. Who do y'all have this week, Tony? Oh. Get this beer cracked. We'll be good to go. Ugh. Yeah, I figured I'd give it maybe a couple more minutes. People might still be out catching Dratini and stuff. Who won third place? Was it E4 or the people we fought? Munchlax and Chill. Do you know who won that? Just have one afterward, Prince. We'll be good. We will be good. Oh yeah. Well, to be fair, Texas PvP is also pretty stacked. Like that was a really tough matchup. I think the hardest matchups round one was us versus AquaTail. That's two Go Team Up teams. Yo, thanks for the subscription, Tony. I appreciate it. You've got us and 6 months. Holy crap. Thank you so much, man. Oh, man. Yeah, so hopefully we're going to be pumping out these faction things week after week, either with me or Burnabas. Burno, we still have to figure out, like, how we're going to handle all of that. But I've at least got this showing done for this past week, and there's a lot of really good battles. I know what happened with mine, but other than mine, the only matches I've really fully watched are the Master League ones. So we're all going to be kind of in no man's land here. Not no man's. The unknown. We are going to be entering into the unknown. Ugh. Yeah, so I guess I'll go ahead and start talking about shit. But, yeah, this is Silph Factions, 7-on-7 fights. What is TTS? In my head, I'm thinking Tabletop Simulator, and I know it's something else, and that's just not... I'm not hitting it. Team Harmony. Oh, it's the DTC mods. It's not the DTC mods. But I do wonder who that is. But yeah, I think the two hardest matchups for Bout 1 were Texas PvP and Mazer, because both of those are really good teams. And then us and AquaTail, because both of our teams were very strong. Both of our teams, I think, made it to the top 8 of the Go Team Up Worlds. So, like, that's a huge round 1, like, unfair kind of pairing. But I guess that's bound to happen. Yeah. So, I just realized I didn't prep, like, who is on each of these teams outside of like the actual, matches when we get to them. Oh man, tax season just goes forever. I'm sorry you have to keep working through that. And yeah, I did a little bit of commander practice before the month started, and I've not done anything since other than like my actual fights, which is just 2 of them, and now I have to fight Burno. But yeah, so from AquaTail HungerForce, we have OG Player 1, Star Wars Lego, 651 Ryan, Craig James 1, Gaston Augustin, and then from Chicago, or from, I guess, Illinois at large, I think both of you are in Elgin? There's Chicago in our hearts. We have Tony Jr. and Legend Prince. So it's a very stacked team. Outside of the fact that we have the 2 Chicagoans, Gaston Augustin was a huge name season 1. Star Wars Lego, I know, was a very, very powerful battler who's just, I think, taking the season off. I used to practice with him a lot. He's a really good guy. Really good battler. I don't know too much about OG Player 1, 651 Ryan, or Craig James, but they are fantastic. Yeah, Prince is Elgin. Cool. Yeah. So, from the stars, we have Balk88, Beach, Shapocalypse Chapo, Bernabas, who's here in chat. We have Abhinav, Keen Bart, and myself. As for the ordering, I could have tried to shuffle these around to build up tension and whatever, but I don't know. I didn't think that sounded fun. So what we're going to end up doing is we're just starting with Master League. We're going to go to Ultra League to Great League, and then we're just going to stay in Great League and do the 4 floating city battles, the field specialist battles. Yo, Avi. Honestly, I don't actually know what the typings are for floating city. It's like normal, ground, flying? Is there anything that isn't that typing? Steel? No, not steel. It's got to be grass. Because Ferrothorn shows up. I think that covers everything. There's probably something I'm missing. Steel, flying, ground, normal. And there's some bands, but honestly, I did not look too hard. Ice and electric too? Alright. Ooh, so I could be running like Lapras? I'm gonna have to look into that. Ah, yes. Yo. Alright, so with that being said, I don't know, they're arguing about the types. We'll figure that out. Well, they'll figure that out. We're going to go ahead and dive into our first matchup, which is already kind of messed up, and I don't know what happened. That's embarrassing. Let's fix this. It's a surprise. An unveiling of Chapo's team. Yeah. So what we have here is our 2... Oh, I should probably turn this music off. There we go. Yeah, so with our Master League matchup, we have the only shadow actually in all of this matchup. Yo, Coliseum, thanks for joining, man. We have the only shadow that got registered between the 2 teams, which is the Shadow Machamp. Both teams were rocking Gyarados and Swampert. Just a lot of power there. I don't know what I'm talking about Master League like I know what I'm doing. I'm just trying to pretend like Channel Man or Chapo. The main thing here with the Master League is that each team is only allowed 1 legendary or mythical, with Ryan choosing Giratina Origin and Chapo going with Landorus. It's one of the versions. I don't know which version that is. Chapo did a ton of raids, and he got there. We also see the Amok, which is pretty interesting, from 651 Ryan and the Mamoswine. So there's definitely some interesting picks here. With that being said, I think we're ready to jump in. So we'll see how fast I can talk. I sped them up a little. They're not too fast, but we'll see what we got. So Chapo's got a lead of Snorlax into Gyarados. This is a relatively relatively even matchup. I think Gyarados comes out a little bit ahead, but it's not terrible. Neither side is going to be running away with much here. We have Gyarados just like pumping out these AquaTails, and Chapo is building up to the double body slam. It looks like it's the same timing for body slams and AquaTails, and Gyarados is going to win these CMPs. But maybe Chapo can cut off, one Dragon Breath, I guess, if he times this back to back. Doesn't look like he gets that. Looking at these damages, Gyarados won't be able to farm this down. He'd have to invest a shield to farm down, and it looks like Ryan doesn't want to do that. He's just going to go ahead and throw this AquaTail out and get rid of the Snorlax. Chapo, seeing the writing on the wall, just lets it go. He's got 2 Dragon Breathers in the back. We'll see which one he brings in. Yeah, he brings in the Gyarados, probably the better choice here. Get the farm down without having to take the super effective Dragon Breath back. And Mamoswine comes in. Mamoswine is going to be a lot of trouble if Ryan can get that to stay alive long enough to take out this Dragonite or get it matched up on the Dragonite. But super effective Dragon Breath comes through, and that is some real damage. A shield from Chapo comes out. The Avalanche would have been neutral, but that still would have been some very, very strong damage. Not going to overfarm at all. Chapo decides to throw the AquaTail and pulls a shield from Ryan. It looked like he might have been able to get that farm down, and Ryan swaps out immediately, bringing in the Amok. Chapo, wanting to make sure that this Dragonite does not see the Mamoswine, immediately makes this swap and is just going to try and power down with Dragon Breath and Fast Dragon Claws. Looks pretty good at this point. Yeah, from here I think Chapo can even probably take this and just farm down everything with the Dragonite and Dragon Breath. Ooh, that Dark Pulse did not do much. I guess 900 CP is a big difference, right? Yeah. So game 1 going to Chapo. Just a heads up for the way scoring works for factions is it is not which team has 4 winners. It is which team wins the most actual battles, with each team doing 3 battles. It's possible that you could win, have 3 battles go. I think the worst case scenario is you have 2 battles that go 3-0 and go 1-2 and everything else, and you would still win. Yeah, I think you would still win an 11-10 in that case. Because even though you only won 2 battles, you won very hard, and it was enough to go through. That being said, every battle, even these third battles, always matter. And I'm going to be updating those just at the end of each round, so that I'm not going to have like 1, 2, 3. It'll just be sets of 3 every time. That being said, let's go on to game 2. Yo, Keen, welcome. All right, so we have Gyarados Mirror in the lead. They have the exact same CP, both, I'm assuming, Hundos at this point, and it's going to come down to who can land a crunch. Probably. Chapo chooses to no-shield this, but it is not a bait, and that crunch gets through. And the same goes for Ryan. That being said, I don't think it was a CMP, and Chapo looks to be just a little bit ahead. It seemed like 1 Dragon Breath ahead, based on when they hit the red. I do need more emotes. You make them, I will make them. Or I will put them up here. Alright, so Machamp comes in, and Chapo immediately swaps into Snorlax, which is a bold choice. I'm not entirely certain why Gyarados swapped out of that, especially why the Snorlax comes in. This is exactly what Snorlax does not want to see. He gets farmed down before he can make it to the next body slam, and now Machamp has a lot of energy. Swampert in the back doesn't really want to see this. Gyarados is probably just going to get farmed down, honestly, if he were to come out. At this point, it looks like it's Ryan's game to lose. Yeah, these cross chops are going to do a lot. And I think the Machamp has enough energy to hit the next one before. Chapo takes one cross chop and is throwing out this Hydro Cannon. It's really going to come down to if Chapo can get to another Hydro Cannon before... Oh, he's over farming. Catches the move on Gyarados, which is great, but I don't think that this Swampert has enough health to do anything, even if he immediately throws this Hydro Cannon. I think even if there's Mamoswine in the back, he gets farmed down before he gets to a Hydro Cannon. Yeah, just barely. Very close one, and we are now perfectly even going into game 3. We've seen some small adjustments on either side, but Ryan is sticking with this Gyarados lead, and Chapo, we have what looks to be a remix of the first game, or a rematch of the first game. Let's see how this plays out any differently. Still going for AquaTail, still going to Body Slams. That's the right move for both of them. It's not really a bait-dependent matchup. You don't really want to change anything up here. I don't really have that much to say about this. Just Master League Mons doing Master League things. I will say that Chapo actively enjoys Master League, so we should make fun of him for that. Master League's weird. Don't actually make fun of that. We like him doing Master League because that means none of us have to. From this point, I believe the Snorlax gets farmed down, if I remember from game 1 how this works. Skull Bash Lax. Oh, looks like Chapo doesn't want to run that back. Brings out the Gyarados and gets counter-swapped by the Mamoswine. Gyarados doesn't get to farm down the other Gyarados, but these AquaTails do a lot of damage. We saw it earlier. Yeah, this Mamoswine is hurting now. Let's see if Chapo chooses to protect his Gyarados again. Yeah, another last second shield keeping me on the seat of my chair. Seat of my pants? Yeah. Looks like he's going for the farm down this time and manages to get it down. This Gyarados has a ton of energy now. Ryan's left with an unknown Mon and a fairly low Gyarados. It's a Machamp. So 2 AquaTails is gonna hurt. And with the Dragonite in the back, I think things are looking pretty good for Chapo at this point. Yeah, so another shield, pretty much... See, I don't know how much damage this does. I'm not used to Master League. I guess I'll find out in like 3 or 4 weeks after I've seen these enough. Chapo trying to throw again. Swaps the Snorlax to give the Machamp some extra farm. Actually, when we were talking earlier, he was trying to catch a Rock Slide, I guess. And Ryan, maybe predicting that swap based off of what happened earlier in the second game, managed to predict it. Dragonite comes in and will farm down this Gyarados and just needs to be able to get one Dragon Claw in on this Machamp. This Machamp. The shield, Dragon Claw afterwards, and Chapo should be able to take this, even with the attempted throw. Yeah. And then that means that we're at the end of our Master League. So for those of you that came to watch Master League, thanks for joining. But GG's, that was a really tight battle, both sides, showing off the power of Gyarados, really. The Mamoswine I would have loved to have seen do some more work, but letting in those AquaTails, I think did Chapo a lot of good. From there we can look at Ultra League. but I do not have the videos because Beach doesn't record. So, get on to him for that if you want to watch Ultra League battles. But I will at least talk about it for a second. For Ultra League, you still have that one mythic or legendary rule, but additionally you also have the one starter rule. That way you don't have a team that's just Charizard, Venusaur, Swampert, a legendary, etc. From here, we do have some interesting picks on both sides. So Star Wars Lego running the Armored Mewtwo, an extremely bulky mon. Honestly, like, that's the top half of Star Wars team is just bulk. On the bottom, you have a lot of power with the Machamp and the Swampert. Licky is definitely interesting. From Beach's side, we have the interesting Crustle, the Ultra League Crustle pick. His starter just hard counters Lego's starter. And actually, this Venusaur, now that I'm looking at it, looks really good against I don't actually know how these went, but looks really good against the Venusaur, against the Lapras. Great against the Swampert. Does fairly well against the Machamp and the Licky. I just really need to watch out for the Amok and the Armored Mewtwo. For Beach's legendary pick, we have Cresselia. I don't know what moveset he was running. I'm assuming Grass Knot and Moonblast, but that could change. But that's all we really have, other than a bunch of Beach jokes in the chat that I hope people will enjoy. From there, I think what ended up happening is, so Beach went 2-1 against Star Wars Lego, and that's really all I got to say about that. From here, we do actually have videos, so we will get to watch the Great League battles between Balk and OG Player 1. As far as I know, there are no restrictions in Great League, but I could be wrong. Y'all can correct me, but I don't think there are. Interestingly enough, the only overlap here is with G-Fisk and Medicham. So these are actually some fairly different teams. Balk kind of putting the Water and Fairy together, and Azu, which is everywhere. OG Player 1 deciding to split that up and run a Jellicent and Ninetales. I don't know what the moveset is off the top of my head, but I guess Balk wouldn't either. We have Tropius that I'm assuming is Air Slash, because Air Slash Tropius is better than Razor Leaf. Don't at me. It's true. We have Umbreon from OG Player 1, and for Balk we have Mandibuzz, which I think was Air Slash in this case. We have Classic AWAC and Venusaur. So it's a very central team. This Venusaur actually looks really good against this team. Depending on maybe what that A9's doing, it's at least got a way to hit everything here for neutral or super effective, which is nice. So let's see how this goes. We're going to go ahead and dive into Game 1. So we have Venusaur and Umbreon. Umbreon's tanky, but at Ultra League, I think it's still only going to be 2 Frenzy Plants for the KO. I think in the No Shield that this goes to Venusaur, but we'll see. I know I'm pretty happy at this point with, if I'm a Venusaur, I'm pretty happy with this. Umbreon with the Dark Pulse instead of Foul Play is definitely an interesting team choice. Or an interesting move choice. It's going to make this a lot more dangerous to this Venusaur. Venusaur can't really take 2. Alright, so Balk building up to 2, or just shy of 2 Frenzy Plants before letting out this one, and he's going to get the farm down on this Umbreon. Let's see what OG brings in. Metacham, so we're going to have resisted counters coming in, and Balk should be able to get to one more Frenzy Plant after this, I think. But he's swapping out. Balk swaps out maybe to try and bait out. I don't know what he's doing. And he baits out the Jellicent. That makes sense, yeah. Because he's going to really want this AWAC into Metacham. He probably assumed there was this Jellicent in the back and was going to need the Frenzy Plant on Venusaur for it. So he pulls out and just tries to get as much damage as possible. Without Hydro Pump, this Azu's able to answer pretty much anything. Yeah, actually anything on player one's team decently well. It's never going to get completely walled. With one more move, Jellicent using Shadow Ball again. At this point, it makes me kind of suspicious that this Jellicent is running Bubble Beam and not Ice Beam. If it was Ice Beam is cheaper. Is Ice Beam cheaper than Shadow Ball? I don't think it is, actually. You can't double up on Ice Beam. Maybe it is. Yeah, it's got to be an Ice Beam one. If he's throwing the Shadow Ball in such a low health Azu, that's got to be what it is. Metacham throwing Psychic again. At this point, I think player one's just trying to hide the moveset. We don't know whether this is going to be an Ice Punch or a Power-Up Punch. Or I guess Dynamic Punch on the Medi. Got to take into account these next two games. So moving on to game 2. Let's see how everyone adjusts here. Alright, Mandibuzz into Metacham. I think this one very much depends on what Mandibuzz's moveset is, and it is the Air Slash, which is going to be really nice, dealing super effective damage out. You're going to get less charge moves off, but I think this fast move pressure is going to make a big difference here. Alright, so we're looking at an Ice Punch Psychic Metacham. At this point, I don't think Balk's particularly worried. This should be a pretty solid lead matchup for him. A nicely timed switch. Balk manages to catch this Ice Punch on Azu, as well as getting the bubble off. It looks like the bubble damage got transferred to Tropius, and Azu is going to try and get an Ice Beam in. So Azu's going to be able to take one Leaf Blade here. The second Leaf Blade will kill him. I think Azu's going to get to the second Ice Beam before. Oof. Yeah, so building up to the Play Rough, Balk hid whether he was running Hydro Pump or Ice Beam, and then let loose the Ice Beam, which is a nice, at least add some more confusion to them. Waiting a little bit, he brings in AWAC. Metacham's not really a threat anymore. Bringing in the Mandibuzz. Looks like he's catching another Dark Pulse. No, it's a Last Resort. Not super well timed. And OG's in kind of a difficult situation. He's getting farmed down, but he managed to get this last second Ice Punch off. Balk needs to shield to preserve all of this energy. And then there's just going to be Umbreon in the back. Umbreon with 2 shields. This is going to be kind of rough for Balk. These 2 Aerial Aces and Bone Clubs is really all we've got. Yeah, Umbreon is real thick. Yeah, there's no way that this Umbreon... Oh, it's running Dark Pulse too, so there's no way that, even with all of this energy, Marowak can do much. There's just too much in the way of shields left. It looks like Balk might have been trying to fish... Is the damage better here? Or is he fishing for the defense debuff. I thought Bone Club would be better, but maybe not. Yeah, that Dark Pulse hurts. He's going to get farmed down even with Snarls. Learning from Abi here. Shadow Ball is the better DPE over Bone Club, even resisted. Alright, so once again, we are 1-1. Going into Battle 3. We've seen some pretty different teams from both players. They have been swapping it up, and Bout catches a great lead. And immediately swapping out, OG player 1 goes to the Stun Fisk and gets counter-swapped by this Azu. Honestly, I wasn't counting. I'm assuming this is an Earthquake. Yeah. But Earthquake's not going to do too much. It's not a huge damage, and Azu's pretty thick. These neutral Ice Beams are going to add up along with the super effective Bubbles, and that will help with Azu here. A shield comes out trying to preserve this Stun Fisk. It might make Balk have to shield himself as well. He's going to let it take one more hit, but Balk really doesn't want this Stun Fisk to get onto either of the other Mons he has in the back. So we now know what two of these Mons being used are from OG Player 1. If they are running Metacham again this game, they're going to have a rough time. It looks like Balk's going to go for the Ice Beam to finish this off rather than trying to farm down. I think he's probably afraid of the Rock Slide coming in. Stunfisk probably would get off the Rock Slide before he gets fainted down. So that was a very good throw. Tropius is going to get in 3 Air Slashes, it looked like. And we'll see exactly what he's going to bring back. Alright, so Balk brings back the Marowak, so neither player knows what is in the back. This is actually a pretty solid situation for... this is a pretty solid situation for Balk. Because honestly, either Mon would have been good versus Tropius, and he gets to pick which one he wants matched up with who afterward. A well-timed swap from player 1 to catch a Shadow Ball. But now Balk's going to be able to just bring in this thick Mandibuzz and do basically the same thing. These neutral Air Slashes are going to add up and do a lot of good damage here. Looks like Balk wants to shield this to preserve the HP on Mandibuzz as opposed to trying to save it for Marowak at the end. And that shield prompts player 1 to do the same. Looks like player 1 tried to catch an aerial ace from Mandibuzz, but Balk, waiting for that swap, managed to hold on the entire time, just do a little bit of extra farming and catch the Tropius. A Shadow Ball in, and he's going to get to another Shadow Bone. Balk holding on very nicely, getting a little bit of extra farm on that Tropius before it went down, and then getting up to the Shadow Ball. Oh, a CMP tie to boot versus player 1, and this is going to be game over. That was really well done. So another close set of battles. But we have Balk taking the set over OG Player 1. So we've gone through our 3 more open metas with Master League, Ultra League that we didn't get to see, and Great League. And we're going to go into the 4 Field Specialists. And we're just going to go in Field Specialists 1, 2, 3, 4, the order that we are entered. Yeah. So first up, we have Burnibus versus Craig James. And we have some fairly similar teams. Actually, like, as far as this meta goes, these being half the same seems to be... I guess it's 4. Both are running Ferrothorn, Stunfisk, Articuno, and Vigoroth. I know Burnibus has been real high on Talonflame for a couple of cups now, but I also know that he is very familiar with Wigglytuff in this meta. He has run it himself many times. Oh wait, they've also both got Mantine. These are 5 out of 6 the same. I don't know why I said they're different. They're literally 5 out of 6 the same. Yeah. That being said, let's go ahead and dive in. Yeah, so let's see what we got. So Burnibus with the Articuno lead into Mantine. This is a fairly solid lead for Burnibus. Ice Shard hurts. Icy Winds are going to add up. Icy Wind is definitely a much better move than the Bubble Beam that this Mantine is probably running. Oh, it's an Ice Beam. Interesting. I was not expecting the Ice Beam to come through. So Crag switches to his own Articuno, and Burnibus swaps in to counter it with Vigoroth, which I believe actually does not go Vigoroth's way. Yeah, as far as I know, Articuno wins this. If you push this out to 2 shields. I don't know. This cup is really weird for trying to predict how things go. A lot of it's going to depend on when debuffs get applied, which shields when shields get used. There's a lot of really small edges in all of these fights. Yeah, it looks like if Craig James wants to invest 2 shields here, he'll get to win. Yeah. And he should be able to farm down, I believe. Let's see if he's going to actually be confident enough to do that. And he is. This Articuno is full of energy. I don't know if he's at 2 Icy Winds, though. Burnibus brings in a Ferrothorn to start trying to suck up some of this energy, and eats a Hurricane, actually. And Burnibus brings in his own Articuno. Alright, so there's a Vigoroth in the back, but no shields. I'm actually a little surprised that Burnibus didn't go up to the Hurricane to try and get the KO. But he looks like he's trying to just get this debuff down. And he's going to let go of Articuno, putting a lot of faith right here into this Ferrothorn. He's going to need to KO the Vigoroth and then manage to get up to at least a Power Whip. Maybe a Thunder. I don't actually know the damage here. He does have a shield at least. But he's got the Thunder. The Thunder will KO. Craig James would have needed an Ice Beam. And I don't even... Yeah, an Ice Beam to KO. Bubble Beam wouldn't have. So really well played by Burnibus, but that was super close. Craig James opting to get the swap advantage and just not having the right thing in the back. I think that Hurricane getting eaten by Ferrothorn instead of 2 Icy Winds might have made a big difference there. So let's go ahead and move on to game 2. So Ferrothorn into Stunfisk, this goes about as well as Burnibus could have hoped. Looks like Craig James tries to eat the Power Whip, tries to catch it on Burnibus. Burnibus manages to keep holding on, and then just decides to throw it anyways to get some health off of this Vigoroth. In comes the Talonflame to get a lot of farm. He's going to eat 1 Body Slam and then threaten to KO with a Flame Charge. Even if this doesn't get the KO, if it gets shielded, Burnibus, sneaking in the Incinerate as well, can shield and just farm down. All right, so in comes another. Wow, I'm not going to lie. I was surprised by that. I thought Stunfisk was coming in to try and sneak a discharge in ASAP. But instead, it looks like Craig James is bringing in the Mantine to try and get the farm down. Ooh, Burnibus has full energy. Does he care to save it? He does. He swaps out and banks that Brave Bird for the end. And now this Stunfisk is locked into Ferrothorn, and Stunfisk doesn't really care. These neutral Mud Bombs are going to add up. But Burnibus gets to just like farm up as much energy as he wants, throw down this Power Whip, and then probably even get to the Thunder against this Mantine. Even if he doesn't, the full energy... Oh no, it doesn't even quite KO. He's already got the Thunder when this Mantine comes back. But there's still a Brave Bird on the Talonflame, so this was going to be hurt. Yeah. So that was a brutal game too. But we've had 2-1 leads so far for Burnibus, which always helps. And we will see when we're going into game 3 if he can pull it off again. It looks like we're leading with the Talonflame this time. So Talonflame into Mantine. Burnibus loses the lead this time. And he's trying to safe swap out to the Articuno, but it looks like he got locked into an Incinerate to start. With a little bit of energy ahead, Craig James safe swaps or counter swaps into the Vigoroth. But these Icy Winds are going to add up. Yeah. So Burnibus is going to shield this and probably push out the next Icy Wind as soon as he can. It should be able to get there before the Body Slam from Vigoroth, and he does. And Craig James chooses to keep the shields and brings in Mantine. Probably getting ready to throw the Ice Beam here. Yeah. Good damage, but there's still going to be an Icy Wind coming for this Mantine before he gets to the Bubble Beam. And we're going to get a shield, trying to get a little bit of health off. And then Craig James, I guess, forgetting that the lead was a Talonflame, swaps out to try and get an extra Ice Shard or to advantage on this Articuno, but ends up locking it into the Talonflame. Even debuff, that Flame Charge hurts. Throwing this Brave Bird into the Mantine, because 2 moves aren't going to happen. We'll see if this Mantine shields this or not. Oh no. Mantine, I guess, expecting the Flame Charge, does not shield. But 1 Bullet Seed should get the KO, and it does. And we are at the end of the 3rd battle, with Burnibus picking up a huge 3-0. Managing to recover from that rough lead. Alright, so let's move on to... Where is it? Field Specialist 2. We have Abby versus Gaston Augustin. And since Abby's in chat, you guys can go ahead and flame him a little, because he also did not record. So we don't actually have the recaps of these. But we do see the double Mud Boy from both teams. We see very similar teams, actually, with the only difference being Gastona going for... Is it Gastona? Gaston? I say Gastona because Gastona is a town near where I grew up. But we have Driftblim for the Talonflame. Gaston, Augustin. Cool. But that is the only real difference from this. Gonna go ahead and play spoilers here. Abby wins these 2-1, which gets us up to the Chicago Stars up to 11. I will say these fights happened in a very slightly different orders. I think Burnibus's was the last fight that we had. So, like, this was much more of a nail-biter in the order that all of these realistically happened. But here we have a matchup of some of DTC's own with Keenbart versus Tony Jr. Tony bringing in the Charizard in place of the Talonflame. You can always criticize Avi's play, Chapo, don't worry. Tony bringing in the spice in the form of Charizard, and Keenbart bringing in the Dragonite, which is going to be double weak to this Articuno that is on every team, because it is great and everyone should use it. Yeah. So let's go ahead and dive into this. So we'll see what happens. It'll take a second. There we go. So Keen leading fire into fire. Talonflame versus Charizard. So Incinerate's going to be the better move than the Fire Spin, but these neutral Dragon Claws are going to add up. Keen trying to get the Brave Bird to land, and Tony not having any of it. Shields the Brave Bird, and Keen swapping out before the debuffed bird has to take any damage, but eating a Blast Burn on Stunfisk, which is not going to be good. This might be low enough that Tony can actually just farm down without having to burn another shield, but it doesn't look like it. So Tony has to decide if... Oh no, Tony's throwing. I thought that was Keen throwing. Yeah, really well-timed Icy Wind from Tony to preserve the shield he had in the switch lead without having to commit to using more shields. So just enough HP on this Articuno that it takes a third Incinerate, and Keen is going to shield this Icy Wind before the KO gets through. So let's see what comes back in. Charizard coming back in for Tony, and Keen is once again going for this Brave Bird, trying to get something through to get the KO. Once again shielding from Tony, but as Keenbart gets this last Incinerate through, he will be up to another Brave Bird. Oh no! And it looked like an overtap or something happened there. It let Tony get in another Dragon Claw. And Tony gets that KO. So we're down to an Articuno versus Vigoroth in the back. And I believe this one's in the shield list is going to go to Vigoroth, at least the way it's being played out right now. Yeah, so it was an overtap, but still, that is close. And finishing it off, Tony Jr. takes the first battle. Yeah. So Niantic's wonderful coding. Cool. Let's go on to game 2. Looks like Keen's going to stick with this Talonflame lead. It actually looks like he's just running back the same team. Let's see what Tony does to adjust, or if he adjusts. Now, we still got the same lead. Alright, so we're going to see how this plays out. Once again, Keen going at 3 Incinerates and throwing a move. This time, Tony's going to throw before anything comes through. Keen just letting this Blast Burn hit and baiting with the Flame Charge. Getting the shield off of Tony. This is really big. That being said, he's going to have to shield a Dragon Claw. Yeah, Tony not letting this move get through, decides to throw a Dragon Claw and force this shield. Keen throwing the Brave Bird this time and will kill this. Yeah, there goes the Charizard. With just a little bit of health on the Talonflame, Tony can bring in the Articuno and get the KO without having to worry about taking the boosted damage. So now we're down to an Articuno mirror, but Tony has one eye shard of advantage. Oh, this is going to be close. At this point, I'm kind of assuming that Tony has the Vigoroth in the back. It looks like they're both just running things back. So they're both trading Icy Winds, but because the debuff, Tony's didn't take as much damage. And swapping out, seeing that this is not going to go in Keen's way, he swaps out to the Stunfisk, shields the Icy Wind coming through, and starts throwing these discharges, which will threaten the KO. Alright, so another debuff. This one's not, or another Icy Wind. This one's not going to be shielded here. Alright, so yeah, there's the Vigoroth in the back, but these double debuff discharges are not going to be particularly painful. Also, double debuff discharges is really fun to say. Y'all should just, terrorize whoever you're around and say that repeatedly. 2 discharges in, and it looks like Tony's just farming up. Looks like he'll be able to try and farm down. Keen, seeing this coming, tries to swap out in hopes of maybe getting something to work out. Get an Ice Shard or 2 during reaction time, but Tony's too good of a player for that and will take the second win, ensuring the first match win for the AquaTail. Alright, so as we said, every point normally counts, so this game 3 is still just as valuable as these first 2. I do really like the way that Silph does that, so that you never have these battles that are just like, I'm just playing because there's 3. Like, every one counts. Keen switches it up, bringing in the Dragonite, hoping to, I guess, catch the Charizard. Tony brings in the Vigoroth, and we have a pretty decent lead. Those body slams really hurt. Resisting counters is nice, and each of these Dragon Claws is going to hurt from the attack stat on that Dragonite. Ooh. So let's see. I think shielding this will let Keenbart get the farm down, but it's going to be very close, especially when there's animation lag. That is terrifying. I think there's a Dragon Claw on this Dragonite to throw against whatever comes in, and this Articuno's one Icy Wind will get, or one Ice Shard will get the KO. However, there is a Talonflame, that can come in for Keen to try and get some farm down. Tony needs to get out, swaps to the Charizard, but ends up having it up against this Stunfisk. While Stunfisk isn't great against Articuno, it will do well enough to threaten. Yeah, Tony is letting this Charizard go, getting some good damage in, and leaving basically this just here for some farm for the Articuno. But these sparks, or these Thunder Shocks and discharges will start adding up and forcing shields. Alright, so let's see what Articuno can do with one shield. This is honestly going to be really close because Articuno does have a lot of health. The first Icy Wind gets through. This Flame Charge really is just going to be undoing that debuff. But I don't think Articuno has 2 more Icy Winds before another Flame Charge comes out. This is really close, but there, yeah. So that last Incinerate got Keen there, and he's able to avoid the sweep in a very tight match. So, once again, a Chicago Battler won. Always great to see. And we will... Yeah, so very good games, Tony and Keen. It was really interesting seeing the flying birds up against each other. And we will move on. Oh no! You are also cut off. Why are you cut off? Alright. And then, last but not least, we have Legend Prince, and yours truly, Ife Lichi. also going with some battling. I think I'm the only one that ran Zapdos out of all of these. We have a bit more differences in that Legends running the Wigglytuff again, and then we have a Swampert as well. But we're both running Drifblim. I don't think there was Drifblim on any of the other teams. Maybe Abby's opponent had one. I don't remember. But Drifblim, I thought, looks really good for catching into the Vigoroth. So let's go ahead and dive into these games. Alright. Oh, that reminds me, I need to fix my pose at some point. So Articuno into Wigglytuff. This is a matchup that I hadn't actually played before this, and I was relatively confident in how this works, and that I can get some Icy Winds and hopefully win, as long as I'm willing to use some shields. Legend Prince lets that Icy Wind through and just keeps charming. At this point, I see how low the Wigglytuff is, and I feel a little bit better, but I don't want this charge move to come in, so I'm throwing out another Icy Wind. Legend Prince preserves that energy and shields. Throwing this Playoff or Ice Beam at me. It's Ice Beam. With the shielded, I'm able to get the KO. Articuno comes in for Legend Prince. It's going to get 2 Ice Shards before it kills mine, but that is enough time to throw an Icy Wind out to get the debuff. So this Articuno is at 2 or 3 Ice Shards now. And in comes my Zapdos to try and get some damage off before the Icy Wind comes through. I invest my second shield here, so I'm now down a shield. But this is a pretty solid matchup. I don't throw immediately. I was hoping to get what I wanted, or hoping to get a little bit more energy. And then the Vigoroth swap comes in, which is where Drifblim really shines. I swap in my Drifblim, and it's going to double resist both charge moves of this Vigoroth. It's going to triple resist the counters, and I'm just going to be able to throw in these Icy Winds and be able to farm down a bit. So as we're doing this, like, my game plan is I'm going to throw 2 Icy Winds immediately. And then, since it's pretty debuffed at this point, we're going to just farm up and get to 2 Icy Winds stacked up if possible before throwing again. Yeah, I'm healing from these counters. You don't actually notice that my HP is going up. Yeah, so I was hoping to have some more energy, but when Articuno swaps back in, I go for the Shadow Ball, which is 1,000% a mistake. If it gets the shield, though, and I guess it probably wasn't a mistake. Icy Wind probably would have been enough damage, but my thinking was Shadow Ball either KOs or the Zapdos will KO with the Drill Peck when I instant swap back. And this Drill Peck will do, I think it does like 40% damage to a Vigoroth, which is more than enough to get the KO here. And first game goes to myself. And then, as you see, lovely high friendship. So let's go ahead and go on to game 2. I was pretty happy with the lead, so I think I actually just ran the exact same team again. I don't think I changed it at all. Yeah, so we got Artie into Wigglytuff. I was happy with the way it played out last time, so I was just going to try and play it the same way. It looks like I managed to cut off a charm. I don't see the animation coming through, which is nice. Yeah, so I feel like I'm a full Ice Shard ahead at this point. There the charm gets through, though. Second Ice Shard comes through, or Icy Wind comes through. This time not shielded, and I am going to go for the farm down. And we get a simultaneous KO, so I've got a full shield advantage in a 2v2 matchup. At this point, Burnibus tells me to bring in Zapdos, so I do, when I should have brought in the Drifblim. And, no, Zapdos was a good call. It was literally just a coin flip that I decided to guess wrong on. But we have Drifblim into the Zapdos. Shields down. It's just a matter of trying to get some debuff onto this. I probably should have kept my Drifblim alive to get a little bit more damage, because that's a lot of health for that Zapdos to go through. And I think that's going to end up costing me as I shield this. Yeah, I should have shielded the Drifblim and kept it alive to get some more damage in, but live and learn. So I'm trying to farm up a little bit so that I don't have to worry too much about this Vigoroth. Get the Thunderbolt for the KO, and I think I need 2 Thunderbolts to get the KO here. I don't think that a Thunderbolt and a Drill Peck or 2 Drill Pecks will do it. I know 2 Drill Pecks won't. That being said, I don't think I have the speed to get to another Thunderbolt before a Body Slam comes by. And a Body Slam will KO Zapdos. It is super squish. A Drill Peck might be able to do it, but I'm not fast enough. And Legend Prince gets to take this one back. Alright, so going into game 3, I think I run the same 3 again. In my head, I'm like, it worked the first time. I feel like I know what I could have done the second time. And I think Legend Prince also is pretty happy with this matchup, which is a little scary. It says to me that he also knows what he needs to be doing here. So another early shield from the Wigglytuff. Articuno getting the double shield, and it looks like this is going to play out like the first match did, where we each burn a shield and I will come out of it with an Icy Wind against whatever's in the back. Though I think actually 2 counters from a Vigoroth will kill me, which would not let me get this Icy Wind off, and that is exactly what Prince does. I bring in my Drifblim and I stay in to throw the Icy Wind. Later on, after watching this, I think that was probably the wrong choice. Especially considering I sit here and I'm like, oh, I'll just shield this. That way we make sure this Icy Wind's not on my Zapdos. There's no debuff. I bring in Zapdos, but now it's down a shield, which is not really where you want to be here. Realizing that an Icy Wind will probably KO me, I go ahead and throw this Drill Peck to get some damage in, and Articuno farms a little. Yeah, this Articuno is absolutely wrecking me, and I was not expecting the Ice Beam there. So Icy Wind to hopefully KO this Articuno. It's going to be close. Yeah. So we have about 40% health on this Drifblim versus a full health Vigoroth. And so this is really just going to be a grind fest to the finish line. But that being said, I think I am too low, and this is just too little too late. Yeah, so one more Body Slam will KO me, and it's going to take me another 2 Icy Winds, and I just don't have the speed for this. Yeah, cool. And this should be the Body Slam. There it is. And down goes Drifblim, down goes me. Legend Prince picks up the 2-1 in 3 matches that were the exact same. He did a very good job of adjusting his play and being able to take games 2 and 3, changing up how he handled the exact same teams. So really well played. So we end up with a final score 13-8. Really tight matches. GG's, Legend. GG's all of AquaTail HungerForce. I was not happy to see y'all in our Bout 1. Y'all are way too good to be who we want to be fighting game 1. Yeah, so that's really what I've got. I hope everybody enjoyed this. These were a lot of really good battles. Y'all should, at Beach, at Obby, tell them to film. The there were a lot of really close matches. Things could have gone either way in many of these. So, also, y'all really need to get, like, round this logo. Get rid of the white. I don't know. It's interesting, but I have heard a lot of compliments on your logo, though. AquaTail HungerForce. Great name, great logo. Yeah. So, a Chicago battler won every fight. That's what we like to see. It's all about Chicago. That's what we're here for. Yeah. Let's see. I guess I should probably... I don't really have anything else to do. I don't have anything else to like, I don't know, say. Any of the other stars or Tony or Prince have anything to say? While I try and find someone to maybe raid? Who's live? Is there anybody doing Silph? Everybody's doing Retro Cup. Let's see. No Commander. No Retro. Let's just drop in on Wholesome. He's running straight Dragon Breath. That sounds fun. But yeah, thanks for joining me, everybody. Looking forward to getting to do this a couple more times. Yeah. Hope you all have a good rest of your night as we drop on by.